Today, we explore how this date completely reshaped our world across five powerful dimensions: culture, education, finance, politics, and technology. This day proves that history never rests. Let's dive into the fascinating interconnected events of this date that continue to influence how we live, think, and innovate today. So, without much further ado, let's go.
So if I asked you what Helen Keller, a massive 200-ton space station, and like a sudden drop in your retirement account all have in common, you'd probably think I'm telling a really terrible riddle.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds completely random on the surface.
Right. But looking at this massive stack of historical records and market data you sent us for this deep dive, they actually all share the exact same box on your calendar, which is June 27th.
It is just fascinating how one specific day can act as this microcosm of human progress. I mean, our mission today is really to synthesize all these sources to show you the cultural, political, and, technological significance packed into just this single date.
Yeah, so let's start with June 27, 1880, which is the birth of Helen Keller. Now, most of us know that childhood story, right? Like her learning language at the water
Well,
lab.
absolutely, the water pump
Yeah.
story is famous.
Yeah, but diving into her later life from the sources, she was just a powerhouse. I mean, she actually helped found the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, to defend constitutional rights. And she fiercely advocated for labor and women's suffrage.
Yeah, the water pump was really just the prologue for her. She completely defied the systemic expectations of her era. I mean, she became the first deafblind person in the U.S. to earn a Bachelor of Arts.
Wow, that's incredible.
It really is. And what we see in the records is that this kind of individual drive to shatter barriers, well, it eventually forces systemic change. You could actually see that mirrored decades later on June 27, 1969. That's when Arthur Fletcher announced the Philadelphia Plan.
Wait, so I was looking at that part. The sources note Fletcher was actually a Republican appointee under Nixon.
Right.
Was the nation's first comprehensive affirmative action program really originally a Republican initiative?
Yeah, according to the records here, it actually was. It was advanced mostly to bolster economic and national security.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, the construction trades back then were heavily segregated, and the government just realized they needed a much more robust and skilled consumer base, so they pushed this policy forward.
Okay, so the analogy that comes to mind here isn't, the old cliche of a track meet. It's more like realizing a really lucrative club has an invisible members only sign on the door.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and Fletcher didn't just like take the sign down. The sources say he mandated that federal contractors actually prove they were inviting new diverse people inside to bid on these massive projects.
Yeah, he was fundamentally trying to engineer the actual mechanics for a meritocracy. But, this push to restructure systems domestically, it also scales globally. Like if we look at the UN Security Council on June 27, 1950,
That's the Korean War resolution, right?
exactly, they officially called on members to aid South Korea.
But wasn't that essentially the UN's first major military test? I mean, didn't the League of Nations collapse previously just because they couldn't actually enforce anything quite like this?
Yeah, and that is precisely why the sources framed this as such a massive precedent. I mean, it proved this totally new international body actually had the teeth to form a wartime alliance.
Right, which is a huge deal.
It really is. But alliances don't always have to be born out of conflict. Just look at the technological marvel that happened on June 27, 1995.
Well, the STS-71 mission, I love this one. It's basically the ultimate handshake in space. This is when the U.S. space shuttle finally docks with the Russian Mir station.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable achievement.
But help me out with the physics here, because how do two massive structures just, link up in a total vacuum without completely destroying each other?
It's incredibly complex. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it requires matching orbital velocities of over 17,000 miles per hour, all while making these tiny microscopic thruster adjustments.
That is just wild to think about.
Right, they were basically taking former Cold War rivals and physically threading the needle in orbit.
Yeah.
And they created this staggering 225-ton shared environment.
It's honestly brilliant. But reading through your financial sources from Monday, June 27, 2016, that kind of tight global integration, it definitely has a dark side, doesn't it?
Yeah, it unfortunately creates a lot of shared vulnerabilities. This was right after the Brexit vote the previous week.
Right, where UK citizens voted 52 to 48% to leave the European Union.
Exactly. And as the records show, the markets violently reacted to all that sudden uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, just think about your own retirement fund on that morning. Because voters in a completely different country checked a box, your savings probably took a sudden hit.
It is a harsh reality,
Yeah, it really just shows how fragile that interconnectedness actually is.
definitely. The British pound dropped to its absolute lowest level against a dollar since 1985. And we saw U.S. 10-year bond yields drop 31 basis points, which is roughly a third of a percent.
Which sounds small, but that's huge, right?
Oh, in the bond world, a drop like that is an absolute earthquake.
Yeah.
I mean, investors were frantically seeking safe havens. It really illustrates how a political decision in just one nation can immediately fracture financial norms worldwide.
Wow. So just to recap, we've seen the birth of civil rights icons, the mechanics of affirmative action, superpowers linking up at 17,000 miles an hour, and international markets crashing.
Yep, all occupying one single square on the calendar.
Unbelievable.
It just proves that history isn't always this slow, steady march. I mean, sometimes the entire globe basically pivots on a single day.
Yeah, which really makes you think about the sheer speed of that impact. Like Helen Keller spent an entire lifetime trying to shift societal perspectives. But then by 2016, an election result shifts global wealth in a matter of milliseconds.
So that is a really sharp contrast.
Yeah, so as you look at today's date, ask yourself, are the world-changing events happening right under our noses going to be measured in lifetimes or in milliseconds?
Hi viewers, family and friends. How did you like the content of this video? Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please write in the comments your name and the place you are watching from. Since our viewing family is spread all over the world, it will be nice to know which city and the country you are watching from, so I can say hello to you. Science and technology. Reading and listening to the historical accomplishments on this date of those who have gone before us, I, as a professional engineer with interest in structural engineering, energy-efficient buildings, ICF construction, and as Google Docs expert with interest in spreadsheet-based solutions, draw inspiration to ask of myself the million-dollar question. What would I accomplish today? Think about the Japanese practice of Kaizen. Let me know in the comments. What would you accomplish today? Your subscribing to the channel inspires me to post more such videos. Thanks for your patronage. See you in the next video. Sincerely, Yogi Anand.